Morning, everyone. I've had a response from the government to the petition that I submitted to them calling for the full repeal of the Gender Recognition Act. So I am going to just go through what I have emailed to the Petitions Committee, because the Petitions Committee, in the email it says the Petitions Committee are going to look at the petition and the government's response. So that's great. So I've got their email address and I've emailed them this morning. And so I'm just going to read out what it is that I actually said to them in my email. For the attention of the Petitions Committee. Dear Commons Committee members, I am a local borough councillor within Cheshire West and Chester Council, halfway through my second elected term. My petition of the UK's Labour government to fully repeal the Gender Recognition Act exceeded 10,000 signatures within a week, despite that I have very limited social media reach. My petition stated the following. We believe that the Gender Recognition Act 2004 was created on a basis of foregrounding the personal autonomy, personal development and security of a very small minority of UK citizens. In so doing, we think it had the effect of diminishing and displacing the human rights, safety, autonomy and dignity of over 50% of the UK population, namely women. We therefore think that it needs now to be repealed. The government has responded that they have no plans to repeal the GRA, stating that they are proud of their support for the LGBT plus community and that access to gender recognition certificates, GRCs, is subject to rigorous checks. Thank you for reviewing the government's response, which sidesteps the issues raised and introduces new concerns. When you do so, as the author of the petition, I ask that you please consider the following points. So I'm going to read the following points. Conflation of LGB and TQ+. The government claims pride in supporting LGBT plus rights, but adding TQ+ to same-sex attraction, LGB, has muddled public understanding. LGB identities are widely accepted, while TQ+ concepts, unrelated to same-sex attraction, remain contested and lack evidence. This conflation has eroded rights, e.g. lesbians, same-sex attracted women, are now barred by activists, often male, from single-sex social gatherings, undermining their established freedoms. TQ+ diversity and risks. The T, trans, and Q+, queer and beyond, are not a cohesive group like LGB. Some within the TQ+ exhibit fetishistic behaviours, e.g. rubber, leather, pup play, or mental health challenges. Government data shows men identifying as women are imprisoned for violent and sexual offences at over twice the rate of other men. The plus is vague, often normalising sexual interests and kinks promoted openly at public pride events funded by councils around children. This not only introduces a sexual grooming risk around children, it also by default tarnishes events that were established by the LGB community unfairly and by extension the whole of the LGB community. We need to stop hiding from this ugly reality behind slogans and do much better than this. Public perception and safety. YouGov polls reveal most people increasingly oppose LGBT plus men accessing spaces where women are vulnerable or undressed. The government has a moral responsibility to properly examine the reasons for this shift in public opinion and not just simply dismiss it as prejudice. Yet public authorities driven by LGBT plus pride enforce policies silencing female employees' concerns, frequently neglecting optional single-sex protections under the Equality Act. Organisations fear legal backlash, misrepresenting the GRA and Equality Act, leaving women unprotected, and government should be acting urgently to address this. The GRA's impact. The Gender Recognition Act allows men with gender recognition certificates, GRCs, unchallenged access to women's spaces. Women questioning their presence risk prosecution, pitting legal protections for trans-identifying men against women's rights to privacy, safety, and freedom from voyeurism and harassment. Police even use the GRA to justify invasive practices, ignoring women's objections. If the government are so committed to normalising unevidenced concepts such as gender, they need to do that in a way that doesn't increase avoidable risk to women and strip women of our dignity and sense of safety as we go about our daily lives. E.g., fund the provisions for third spaces. Successive governments, through the GRA, have allowed the mental health issues of men to become a safety and dignity threat to women, and that can't be right. Statistical reality. Men commit 99% of sexual and violent crimes, with women as their primary victims. Male pattern offending persists regardless of gender identity or GRCs. The GRA effectively shields men breaching women's boundaries, undoing decades of feminist gains, while the government calls this progress. This is not progress, it is regressive. Lack of consultation. The TQ plus agenda was imposed without consulting LGBT people or women, both historically oppressed groups. Women especially lack societal power to resist. The government's blanket TQ plus support disregards this and disregards public dissent and the sex-based realities of violence like they don't matter, and they do matter. Women matter. Dishonest framing. The government's pride in the GRA and TQ+ masks an ugly truth. It facilitates risk to women under inclusive rhetoric. No one can guarantee a trans-identifying man's intent in vulnerable spaces until harm occurs. Too late for prevention and for that woman. This needs to stop, and it needs to be a decisive action from the government that puts a stop to it. The time for pretending that this legal and cultural mess can be untangled by individual organisations or individual traumatised women bringing cases through the courts, while women all over the UK are daily put at avoidable increased serious risk from men, is over. Conclusion. The UK's historic support, that's in quotes, for TQ+ lacks legitimacy without broad consent. If government ignores sex-based realities and women's safety, dignity and rights afforded effortlessly to men by birth, it should be ashamed, not proud. Thank you for your attention to my comments. As a local councillor who works daily to restore women's rights and freedom of speech, I would welcome the opportunity to attend and contribute to any committee sessions examining the government's response to my petition. Kind regards, Councillor Mandy Clare, Independent, Winsford Dean Ward, Cheshire West and Chester Council. Okay, so that's what I said in my email. I think what needs to happen now is we need to try and get this video out as widely as possible. We need a mass response on it to try and get the numbers up if we can. I've got really limited reach. I know there are people within the movement who feel that it's premature to ask for repeal of the GRA, but I think in light of what's happened with the Sandy Peggy case, in light of what's happened with the police, with policing and strip searches, it feels like it's an urgent moment. And we know that the polls, the YouGov polls, show that the weight of public opinion is on our side. The TERFs are right. We know we are. And so I feel personally that it's a good moment to try to keep pushing on this and to keep this in the spotlight if we can. So if you wouldn't mind sharing this video, if anyone knows how to do a public letter that we can get mass public signatures on and send that to the Petitions Committee as well, just to let them know that there's strong public feeling about this issue and that it needs looking at urgently, that would be massively appreciated, because I'm not techie and I need help with things like that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for signing, everybody, as well. Cheers. Bye.